Hello guys, welcome to this guide on how to climb with Volibear and Anivia. In this comp, you feed your legend units with cavalier units, giving them ability power and a lot of defensive stats, and allowing your legend units to scale and ultimately carry your whole team to victory. This is a reroll comp, meaning you're gonna stay 7 for a big chunk of the game, rerolling for your legend units. Your win condition is hitting Volibear 3 and Anivia 3. This comp is very first raved, where if you hit a fully upgraded board, you can usually expect to get a top 2 out of it. The core items on Volibear are Rageblade, Quicksilver, plus a healing item. If you get an augment that can provide healing for Volibear, you can go for a third damage item instead. Titans is good, and Shiv works as well because it scales off of the Rageblade. Meanwhile, the best core items for Anivia are Morello plus Archangels. Jewel Gauntlet is super effective as a third item, and you can also go for Gunblade or BT, allowing you to frontline the Anivia, which is actually super strong. The best supporting items for this comp are Shiv, because it shreds the enemy MR, making your whole team deal more magic damage. And meanwhile, stacking Chalices of Power can provide a lot of AP on your team. It's gonna give AP to both your legend unit and the unit that you feed to it, providing even more stats for our carriers. Lastly, Redemption can be a really solid choice. All of your legend units are gonna have a big HP pool, so you can get some enormous heals from this item. On first Carousel, you wanna go for Rod. It builds into Rageblade, Morello, or Archangels. You can also go for Bow, that builds into Rageblade and Static Shift. Early game, you want to play around these core units. At level 5 we can play Leona for Guardian, and at level 6 we can play Ezreal, giving us Swift Shot. From here we can swap out the Set and play Lee Sin, giving us Tempest. You want to put your damage items on Karma, and put your tanky items on whichever Guardian you upgraded, either Leona or Taric. And then once you hit Volibear, you want to swap out Karma for Volibear, and put the damage items on him. At level 7 you want to put in Anivia, giving us Jade, and 2 out of 3 legend. And if you can, you want to itemize Anivia, giving her Morello and Archangels. And here you want to clump your units around the Jade statue like this here. Now we have a pretty stable level 7 board, and from here we're gonna reroll for Volibear and Anivia, while pivoting the rest of our board into Legend and Cavalier. Once you hit Ornn, you want to swap out Ezreal and play Ornn instead. We keep the Tempest, and now we have Legend online. And from here we want to swap out the Guardian frontline and play 2 Cavaliers instead. It doesn't really matter what Cavalier you play, you mainly do it for the extra stats for the feed. You want to put your tank items on Ornn. Bear in mind that legend units eat adjacent units that are left to them, so you want to position like this here. From here we're getting into the late game, so now we should get a third item on Volibear, and we can also get a third tank item for Ornn. Bear in mind that in this build we don't have a healing item on Volibear, and this only works if you already have a healing augment. If you don't hit a healing augment, you want to put the Static Shift on your backline instead, and opt for a healing item for Volibear instead. If you get the components for it, you can slam a Chalice here. You want to position like this and put the Chalice on Nunu, so you get the extra AP on Ornn and Volibear, and Nunu as well, who you feed to Volibear. Once you 3-start Volibear and or Anivia, you can push for level 8. At level 8, you want to play another Cavalier for even more stats for our feed, and now we can feed Cavaliers to all of our legend units. Eventually, you want to swap out the Ashe for Yasuo if you hit him, and if you pick up Edge of Night and a healing item, these work really well on Yasuo. If you get your hands on a Cavalier spat, this one can be amazing on Anivia, especially if you have an augment that provides healing like Celestial Blessing. Then we can play frontline Cavalier Anivia. This is actually the tech, guys, trust me. It's so broken, especially if you hit Anivia 3. If you didn't hit a healing augment and weren't really able to itemize your Anivia, you can put the Cavalier emblem on Yasuo. Alternatively, you can use it as a third tank item on Ornn, that also works really effectively. Now if you didn't already hit Anivia 3 at level 7, you want to keep on rolling at level 8 until you hit her in 3-star. Then you can push for level 9, where we can play another Cavalier, or a legendary unit like Bard or Soraka. The leveling for this comp uses a 3-cost reroll curve. You want to pre-level to 4 on 1-4 if you're sitting on a lot of 2-cost pairs, else you level to 4 on 2-1. Next you need to decide if you want to pre-level to 5 into the Carousel. You do this if you're win streaking and still sitting on a lot of 2-cost or maybe even 3-cost pairs. Else you level to 5 on 2-5. Try if you can hit 20 golds going into Crocs, that's usually a sign of good econ. On 3-2 you want to level to 6 and play another unit, but you don't want to roll here, you want to save the majority of your gold so you can roll it on 7. On 4-1 you want to level to 7, and from here you want to slow roll, meaning only rolling down to 50 for Anivia 3, Volley 3, and your Legend Cavalier board. If you're high rolling, you're gonna hit Volley and or Anivia 3 at stage 4, but most games you're probably gonna do it around stage 5, or if you're unlucky, stage 6. This also means that most games you're not gonna get to level 9, you're probably just gonna get to level 8 and cap your board there. If you hit early, you can usually push 8 on 5-3 or 5-5, and for the few games where you do high roll enough to push 9, you can do it on 6-3 or 6-5. Lastly, let's look at the best augments for playing this comp. Rich Get Richer, AFK and Calculated Loss are all great for early game econ. They're gonna help you to get to level 7 and slow rolling for your units quicker. Tiny Titans and Metabolic are gonna give you more HP to work with, also allowing you to get to that spot of slow rolling without having to worry about your health too much. Meanwhile, Trade Sector is gonna help you a lot with hitting those 3-star units. Cavalier Heart, Crest and Crown is gonna boost the stat of the rest of your Cavaliers. And meanwhile, Crest and Crown opens up the option to play Cavalier Anivia. Cavalier Unity makes all of your champion get the bonus from your Cavaliers. So not only does your Legend units get to eat the Cavaliers, they also get the Cavalier stats themselves on top, and your Legend units will charge into battle. Dragonmancer Heart, Crest and Soul are gonna allow you to sub out the 3rd Dragonmancer for a stronger unit, and they can also open up the option to flex in 6 Dragonmancers. Eye of the Storm is so strong in this comp. You're gonna run Tempest always, and the extra AP and Volibear is just gonna mean that he's gonna one-tap the enemy board. Ascension is a perfect fit for this comp. The fight almost always goes over 15 seconds, so you're always gonna get the value from this one. And here we have a bunch of healing augments that are all gonna help your frontline survive a little bit longer. They're all very effective into this comp. Gadget Expert is great, the true damage is okay, but it's mainly because you get a static shift, which is a really good item into this comp. Makeshift Armor provides more stats to the units that you feed, meaning that your Legend units are gonna get even more defensive stats. Lastly, Best Friends is gonna give more armor and attack speed to your Legend units, and it's gonna have double the effect because it's also gonna give armor to the unit that you feed to the Legend. And that's it for this guide. If you found this helpful, remember to subscribe and leave a like. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.